Hey there, Mission Control. Well, tonight we're going to continue the flashback series and we're going to talk about microgreens. So we've had quite a few questions. What are microgreens? Why are you doing them? So let's try to dig in here and go over some of that together. Let's get started. So microgreens are essentially small versions of normal everyday plants, just with a fancy name. And what you're seeing here on the screen is production row forest, the first of what will eventually be, I think it's going to be like 8 total shelves that will be containing microgreens between 2 different lanes. We're looking at lane 2 right now. And you can see the microgreens sprouting here, and then we plant them in succession so that there's enough microgreens for all of our customers. And as they age, they move on down the line like a production line, and then we harvest and we just keep replanting and replenishing and cycling everything through. And we're doing microgreens to help fund this entire operation. So they're a major piece of the revenue that we need to help get everything going so we can build out Hab 1 and Hab 2 and really refine this process and system that we're working on. So I've put in a few still photos here so you can kind of see where we've gone or where we've come from and how far we've gone. This is one of our first experiments with microgreens. We're actually using the hydrostone pebbles, and we're going to talk about how that's kind of a challenge. We've tried using lava rock, which works pretty well, but it's kind of a pain. And we've also experimented with using just flat hydroponic mats that are biodegradable. And we've had mixed success with those mats, and really the best growing medium that we've had so far are the hydrostone clay pebbles. They do the best, Mrs. Martian says, at kind of distributing the seeds. She's in charge of the microgreen operation and is our master gardener here. And what's happening is the seeds are kind of clumping up on the mats instead of staying spread apart as water and wind, or air movement, not wind, but comes across them. So we're going to be continuing to use the hydro clay pebbles, but as part of that, the microgreens, their roots get down into the pebbles and they get kind of wrapped around everything and creates a separation problem. So I'm going to show you a video here coming up of that, but these pictures are kind of cool. You can see that our system definitely can grow microgreens with no problem. So this is earlier in the winter time. Pretty good stuff. So I'm going to talk to you about a problem that we've had. Maybe you guys might have some answers. Mission Control, maybe you can help out the Martian here. The real Martian. Here's one of the problems that we have to solve. So I'm going to show you. This is one of our microgreen growing trays. This one's been sitting outside for a little while after we harvested it. But the problem is, look in there. So some of those little round beady things, they're actually the seeds, but the brown rock, those are actually the medium that we use. It's like a clay hydrostone, I think is what it's called. And rocks like this probably be pretty abundant on Mars. It'd be a good growing medium to use, so you wouldn't have to pack all this up there. Very expensive to send stuff to Mars. Millions of dollars for pounds of equipment. So what we need to do is we need to find a way to separate the organic matter in here from the rocks. And the only thing I could think of right now that really inspires me is like a tumbling system, like on what the gold miners use, maybe on Gold Rush, the trommels. The rock and the plants will have different density, so I think that's what we got to take advantage of to really get that material out of there. We want that material out of there. We can feed it to the animals. It's highly nutritious. Or we could put it back in the digester and create more methane. We don't want to get rid of it. We don't want to just throw it away. So we're experimenting without using material, which would be what we really want to do. But see how that all goes. Sometimes those experiments require us to have a medium underneath, like a piece of paper towel or a foamy recyclable substance. That's just more money, and it's just more stuff you got to pack. So we'd really prefer not to do those things. So if you got ideas, let us know. Yeah, so since I shot that video, we have experimented with the cloth. And it kind of works. You definitely get growth on it. but the seeds just don't distribute correctly. It's kind of interesting. And you can put other things like wire mesh and all that down on top, but then that kind of goes against what we're trying to do. We don't want to keep adding more things in the system. We want to find the one thing that works and use it, and not have to go buy a bunch of wire, or a bunch of paper towels, or a bunch of cloth and then wire and paper towels on top of that to get the distribution. Not to mention, the more stuff that we add to the system has cost, just the material cost, but it also has cost in labor, the amount of time that somebody has to spend actually dealing with all that. And we want to get all that out of the system. We don't want to have someone spending their entire day out there planting. That goes against what we want to try to do here and the problems that we're trying to solve. There are easier ways. You can spend time if you want to and go out there and plant things, no problem. Today, and that doesn't require an engineer to solve that problem. But this is kind of like a processing problem where maybe you're on the production floor or you have some form of process that you need to identify and then continually improve and make as efficient as possible, like an Apple or a Toyota maybe doing at their factories, kind of like assembly line or at Ford. Those types of places, they think of a manufacturing process. They lay it all out. They actually have an engineer come in and they actually figure out how to do their manufacturing, and they design their manufacturing so that it can be as efficient as possible and have as little touch time as possible. And that's what we're going to be trying to go for on these microgreens. And I think we because I am really stubborn, will probably end up figuring out a nice way to deal with the processing of microgreens. And together with all your inputs, I'm sure we could all come up with a pretty cool idea of how to process them and how to separate that rock out from the organic matter so that we can reuse that rock and not have to continually buy more rock, and then get that organic material and put it in the digester and get methane and organic matter back into the system that way. Really, if that happens, then that means everything that the microgreens have is 100% recyclable. You grow the microgreens, you sell them, humans eat that. That creates waste, of course, but I consider eating a good thing. Net positive gain there, you might say. And with the organic matter coming off the microgreen harvesting, going back into the system and being completely consumed in the system, that is a positive gain, and then all the rock gets reused. So essentially all we really have to worry about are those trays breaking, which they do break, but if you handle them correctly, you kind of take it easy on them, they last a long time. So again, we're doing microgreens to help generate revenue, to help pay for everything. We're up to not one, not two, but actually 3 customers now that we're delivering to. So we're feeling pretty good about that. It's a little overwhelming, but we're growing. We're maturing in our production capability. And now that we kind of have seen that we can't really use the grow mats, we're kind of going back to the hydro stone pebbles and going to make them work. We just got to figure out a separating plan for that. And really, any rock that we use, we'd have to figure out a separating plan. So that kind of, whether it's hydro stone or clay or peat or whatever it is, all of them have to be separated. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll be showing all that on YouTube. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to be notified of our future videos, hit the little bell there to the left of subscribe and you'll get notified. In the meantime, thanks everybody for watching and all your support. This is The Real Martian. Out.